Reactor online, sensors online, weapons online, all systems something.
Hey everyone, B1B Flyer here with a question for you. Does your Commando's lower leg look like it got the Joe Theismann treatment? Does your catapult look like someone with gorilla hands tried to pick it up? Does your Locust look like the mech warrior is about to get a DUI? Well, then you're in luck, because I've got a solution for all three and we're going to go through them right now. Here's the tools I'll be using to help fix these up. Some tweezers, a brand new or sharp razor blade or hobby knife, and an eraser or sticky tack or a cork, something to press your miniature down on while you're cutting so it doesn't slip. I've also got a cutting mat that I'll be using as well to protect the surface of my desk. Let's start with the Commando. I've got my cutting mat, as you can see. I've got a eraser that I'm going to use to hold the miniature down, and I like to use these brand new straight razor blades just because they're a little thinner than hobby blades and I like to get a nice flush cut, but use what you have and what you're most comfortable with. You can see I'm going to try to cut underneath the foot, the little plastic post that sticks up from the plastic hex base, and just using consistent pressure and a gentle rocking motion. I'm trying to push too hard. I'm trying to maintain control so I don't slip and injure myself. If you're younger, you should probably get your parents to help you with this, but now that I've got the leg free, I can easily adjust the position of the miniature with the other post still secured to the foot. Now it's time to get some hot water. I've heated mine up in the microwave to boiling and let it sit for just a little bit. It doesn't need to be that hot, but you want it something below boiling. Using the tweezers to protect my hands from the hot water, I'm just going to dip the lower leg in, and as you can watch slowly, the left foot will slowly turn and line up the way that it should have been when it was cast. It's just the memory of the plastic working and doing all of it for you. Once the Commando's out of the sauna, you can see he's all back up to where he should be. And now if you want, you could adjust the stance a little bit, or you could even remove the other foot from the base to realign it, and you're good to go. You can just glue the foot down and go on about painting. With the catapult, I'm going to dip the top half of the miniature in to, of course, get the missile launchers. Now these may have been glued in incorrectly, they may be warped, it just depends. Regardless, this will fix the alignment issues. You just have to use two hands to do it. Now I'm going to let it soak for a little bit and test the amount of play. If you need to put them back in because there's not quite as much movement, then go ahead and do that. It's a little bit thicker parts than with the Commando. Don't worry about the missile doors. They will straighten out all on their own, and even if you have them bent a little bit after you're done aligning the missile boxes, then you just dip them in very quickly and they will straighten out without any extra work. So I'm going to make sure they're good and soft, and then give it just a second so the water isn't going to burn your fingers, and then push and press in the direction to line them up at your preference. If you want them tilted back a little bit, if you want them to be slightly different than what you might have originally positioned them at, that's perfectly okay. Play around with it. You do have some work time. Just be aware that if you put it too much out of what the normal position should be, if your miniature ever gets hot or is left in a car, for instance, it could go back to what the original cast memory it was, and if it was installed incorrectly or if it was slightly off because of what it was assembled at the factory, it's going to go back to that. So just be mindful of that. The less you get away from what the actual correct position should be, the better off you're probably going to be in the long run with it trying to go back to an out of position. If you don't like it how you get it the first time or second time or whatever, just keep putting it back in the water until you do get a result that you're happy with. You can do one at a time as well. If you just want to put one portion of the miniature in, if you get one lined up, you can do that as well. Here I am just dunking it real quick to make sure both the doors are straight. And as you can see, there's just a little bit of give since they're so thin. And now I'm quite happy with how the alignment of the catapult missile boxes are. Another good reason for doing this is if you're going to modify the missile boxes or remove them, perhaps to do the K2 modification. Here I've got the Ironwind Metals K2 arms. You'll want a nice perpendicular cut. If the angle is at a high angle there on the torso, you're going to have to do a lot more work, and you'll definitely need to pin those arms in to get them to line up parallel. Finally, let's get to the squashed Locust here. This happens for whatever reason. Either it was put together quickly. This one differs really significantly from the one on the the one on the right, which is the normal position, you can see the legs are a little bit squashed. Even the torso is turned differently. So whoever put this one together was maybe on his last 5 minutes at work and wanted to get out of there, or I have no idea. But the overall method is very similar to repositioning or fixing any other miniature. I'm going to put the entire thing in the water because I'm going to be working the legs as well as the arm that might be slightly out of position. You can do this to straighten the antennas or the laser barrels, so on. It's a relatively smaller bodied miniature, so it shouldn't take as long as the catapult did. And now I'm going to try and work the overall position while adjusting the arm at the same time. I'm bracing it with my left hand to keep that side relatively static, and then I'm lifting on the arm as well as trying to turn, or I should say rotate the torso so that the hips are more even to the ground. You can speed the process up of it curing and being cooled by dunking it in water or running it under a cold tap. That will help make things permanent, or at least fix the flexibility of the plastic. And again, once you get it to where you're happy with it, he's much more even keeled and doesn't look like he's about to fall over. And what the added benefit of it being a little bit different in the assembly is that I don't have to cut the torso off. It just happens to be a side benefit to the way this one was put together. That's all from me. Tex, take us out of here.
We certainly hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and leave your questions or comments below. Follow us on Facebook at Battletech Camo Specs Online. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Heat critical, shutdown imminent. Time for Pop-Tarts.